Welcome to the Steve and Cimino Says Boom Show, issue number 48.
Boom!
Oh, boy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Steve and Cimino Says Boom Show, issue number 48. And always having a good time with my boy Steve and my guy Niall down below. Niall, what's going on? What do people need to know?
Let's get into the house rules, ladies and gentlemen. As everyone knows, make sure to look below, click that subscribe button, and smash that bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content like this episode tonight. And Steve, as much as I enjoy your teachings, it is on to John as professor tonight.
Oh, that's right. Listen, we were just talking earlier about when we do this podcast, we just want to have fun. So if you guys watching, get away from the world, all the craziness, the politics and all that, and we come and we talk about the comic books, the fun of the industry, and the people that we love. So Steve, as you know, why is it so good to get away? Why for the people to get away and join us for about 45 minutes to an hour? Why?
Hey, you know what? Some people out there have a lot of stress in their life. Sometimes it's like, maybe what you're watching TV and it's just not hitting you right. Maybe, you just need something else. You need something extra. Maybe you just curious. Well, if you are, this is the place where you're going to see two maniacs being controlled by our technical wizard here, getting way carried away on stuff that was probably read 30 to 20 odd years ago. And then you're going to be going, wow, where do those people come from? That's what this show is about.
And that's great to say. Where do they come from? We come straight out of the Marvel age, man. Our first appearance was Fantastic Four #1 in 1961 too, and then all the way to about 1986, 1987, and sometimes a little further on there. But today, thank you, Niall, for giving me the reins, because Steve is usually one of the good, he tells us like it is. And sometimes I like to join in there too. So I like to teach Steve and Niall. And Steve, today we're going to be talking about a comic that is an absolute classic. And I don't know why we haven't done it yet. But hey, better late than never. Everybody out there, one of the greatest single issues ever, drawn and it's just so incredible. Low distribution on this one. Niall, want to show Steve what we're talking about today?
Oh, well, look at you.
Look at me.
In there. No, I don't know whether we should. Let's hold this one back. Yeah, let's wait. Let's give it 10 years. Let this one, roast in the pot a little bit longer.
Oh, God. Wait, Steve, before we even go into this comic, one of the absolute greatest covers. Talk about this cover, like just the cover. Talk about that.
Any publication, any top 10 list, any dealer, any fan, they always return to this cover here. It's majestic. It's magnificent. It pushed the realm of art to a new level, because it really is sensational. And realistically speaking, I would say this is like probably the third most famous cover of the entire 1960s. And that's saying something. Okay. We're talking thousands of key issues, thousands of important issues, which are very important to a lot of people. But when you bring this book out, you get a lot of people talking and they're like, oh, let me tell you. So yeah, this is very, very, very special. And is John Buscema at his peak plus. At his peak plus. Okay? And we'll get into that a little bit later on. I'll explain why.
Yes, and first off, the Skyrider of the Spaceways. Oh,
I was
Stan
just
Lee.
thinking that.
Oh,
Ugh.
Stan Lee, I love you so much. That is so Stan Lee. With those S's, like, look at this. Listen, Skyrider of the Spaceways, the Silver Surfer. That's Stan Lee, 100%. But Niall, Steve, look at something close. Yes, John Buscema. John Buscema doing Jack Kirby too. Look at how he does the Kirby crackle. Nobody could do it like Kirby, but John Buscema gave it. Look at what he did. He gave it such pop too. Like, you could tell he was influenced by Kirby, but he puts his own twist in it, and it's like just the flow of it. It was so smooth, and we're going to see stuff in every. This is going to take us a little bit to get through. This might be a little bit longer because we got to break down. Panels are so. Each panel in this issue is so incredible. But yes, one of the greatest covers of all time. Look at Thor, and what I love, John Buscema drew such a good Thor, but look at how he drew Thor's cape. That's what you call majestic. Look at Niall, look at how it pumps over the shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
And there's going to be a few panels in here that are some of the greatest, in my opinion, in comic history. So now, first page. Why I included this, Steve? Because, as you know, when you opened up those Silver Surfers, they always had that little black and white cute thing that kind of told you what was coming into the issue. That was it was on the back of the cover, you know, like on the next. And I love that about some of those early Marvels, especially those thicker Marvels, the one with that, you know, that they were thick. And then when I was a kid and I saw this, because the first time I saw this issue, I actually had the what was it, the Marvel Adventures or Amazing, what was the Silver Surfer reprints that they made?
Oh, it was the Fantasy Masterpieces.
Yes, and I didn't know that one, and I had that one, and I never realized it was always missing a page. There was always a few pages not missing. And the first time I ever saw this issue was in Marvel's Greatest Superhero Battles with that book, and that's the first time I saw Kirby art. But think about this. That was the greatest comic I ever saw, Fantastic Four 25 and 26. But also I see this in there. So this hits me like a fist too. And I was like, this is some of the most incredible reading I have ever experienced. Now, I don't know anything about that. And you get to think about those 3 issues alone in that binded book with that awesome Hulk vs. Thing, John Romita cover. So anyways, the good, the bad, and the uncanny. Tales from the Watcher, that in the Terror of Tim Boo Ba. That was the backup story, which we're not going to go into. But Niall, first page. Have you ever? This is like Niall, Steve. For me, this is like finding like a hustler or a playgirl or a playboy or whatever when I was a little kid. And then you go into the woods and you're looking at like this was so unbelievable to see. Look at Loki just sitting there pondering, but look at how like even the cup like is spilling. Unbelievable. Now, I want to go before we go into the weeds of this issue. I want to say something. I don't know if you guys know the history of this issue. As good as this issue is, this is also Stan Lee's greatest error. And why I'll tell you this is that when John Buscema brought this to Stan Lee, when it was fresh, all the art, Stan Lee could not stand it. He said that John Buscema did everything wrong. And somebody doesn't, as iconic as this issue is, I don't know if you guys know this, but John Buscema never, ever liked Stan Lee again because of this issue. He had a big falling out until his dying days. He always had it like him and Stan. He was so angry at Stan, but Stan Lee said that this was it was bad. Like everything he did was wrong. And then years later, as it became so prominent, Stan said how much he loved it. But at the starting, he didn't. And John Buscema was very upset with Stan with this because he still couldn't get it. But it turned out to be, that's why I call it one of Stan's greatest errors. I don't know. Did you know that, Steve? Did you know that?
Yes, I was astonished when I read that. And Stan was actually writing the forward, I think, to was it Bring on the Bad Guys or whatever it was. And he actually mentioned it, and he wrote it again in one of the Marvel Masterworks where he said, you know, at first he was, you know, he didn't like it. You know, he said a couple of unkind things. And then 10 years later, he actually called John Buscema up on the phone when he was writing an introduction. He read it again, and he called up John Buscema on the phone and said, John, I want to tell you that I made a terrible mistake all those years ago, and this is the finest work you ever did.
Yeah.
But you're right. He hurt John with this because John was very proud. He came in with those pages, and he was expecting, because he had raised his game to a new level here, and he was not expecting to have to be berated by Stan. So yes, you're right. It's one of Stan's lowest moments, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
Yeah, and this is where John thought he got the Kirby, like he thought he could do it like Kirby, but with his own style. And unfortunately, Stan didn't see it. And so once again, it caused a friction that lasted for the rest of his life. John was so upset. When you hear, it's a story you should hear from Roy too, because John confided in Roy about it too, about this whole thing. And yeah, what an error. So look at that. Probably one of the, if not for my opinion, the most iconic Loki picture of all time.
Look how intimidating Loki looks.
But pondering. Oh my God. So good. Okay, next page now. Throwing the cup, like, once again, like how he goes through stories. And this is what John Buscema loved. If you guys know this, he loved to do Conan because why? He did not like to do superhero comics. His worst person to draw was Spider-Man. He did not like doing Spider-Man. But look, he puts them on horses. You know, you don't really ever see that, but you see how John utilizes that, doing the stuff that he likes to do. And look at just even the guard there too, like he just the way his arm is, just I just get so, you can look at every panel. Look at even that second panel of Loki with the hair, like just like it's so incredible. And even that last panel, it's not actually a panel, it's actually like the cavern, you know, like, oh my God, you could just, oh. Okay, so what are we doing here? Loki's trying to look up something to try to get rid of Thor. That's what he's pondering. I got to get rid of Thor. What do I got to? And this is something, Steve, why I love this issue. Next page now. This right here, Steve, is where I went bonkers. And this is where I love. Now, Steve, the last two panels, Loki looks into this potion and he's going to find something. But Steve, please read to me the two panels when his head starts going into into his essence starts going into the cosmos. Once you read those two panels, you'll see why I fell in love with it right away. Go ahead, please.
You mean the last two panels in complete?
Yes, right. Yes.
All right.
Now thus
unfettered by space or time, I shall roam the endless cosmos until my quest be done. Now let the mightiest of all appear before me. I behold the Hulk, but though in brute strength he seems boundless, he is lacking in skill. He will not do.
I fell in love. He's looking, Niall, understand what Loki said right there. Show me the mightiest of all who appears, the Hulk. Thank you, Stan. Though his strength is boundless, he's lacking in skill. Perfectly described. So they find them. Who's best qualified to take on Thor, the Hulk? Okay. Oh, I loved it. Next page now. Then the next guy comes. He's looking. We got the Thing. And then we get Hercules. But what I love that when he looks at Hercules, he was thinking the son of Zeus. He might be able to do it. but even he won't tread an Escad. I mean,
Yes.
in
Olympus.
yeah, Olympus, because he knows Zeus is right
Yeah,
there.
don't mess with Zeus.
Yeah, so he says, I ain't gonna do that. So he has to look elsewhere. And then we find this. Now, why I love that picture is that, I don't know if you know that, I used to have that as a sticker when I was a kid, and I was so enthralled. I had the sticker first, but when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, there's the sticker. Like those things drove me crazy when I saw the stuff that was on the product. I never realized they got it from the comic book, but oh, who is this? So he sees this new form of alien or being here that he never saw before. Next page now. So Loki, in all his wisdom, what does he do? He starts looking into his history. He starts seeing, like, I look at that picture of Loki. Just look at the picture of the Silver Surfer with that Kirby crackle. And I didn't even, like, this is where John is trying to do Kirby, but do his own thing. And like, maybe he's even doing this. Like, I know Stan will like this. You know, I can just see the whole thing, but oh my God, poor Stan. What was he not seeing? Oh my God. And he sees listen to the name. There's a Stan Lee name, Norin Rad, R-A-D-D. How good. Zenla, Shalaba. Oh my God, those are such great names. So you see Norin Rad on Zenla and his love Shalaba. He's cursed to be the Silver Surfer and his broken heart. Oh, so beautiful. Next page now. So look at Galactus not letting him escape Earth. And then the issue before this was Mephisto. I don't know if anybody knows, issue number 3 was the first appearance of Mephisto, but you get to see that. And he's seeing the history. It's a little flashback of what Silver Surfer was doing, but you can see that Loki's very curious of that. And look at Loki on that horse. Look at how he's upright with his arm out. Oh my God. That it's just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Anyways, he's very curious about this being. He's curious about his history. And he's like, this guy is a little different. Next page now. So, cut to Asgard, and you see some being going through there, and we see the famous Warriors 3 throwing some jabroni through the door and all that stuff. Volskar is, I love Valstag, like what he's looking for. Look, just all we can do is just appreciate the drawings. I mean, like, Volstagg, so funny. Hogan and Fandral. Love it. Love it. Okay, next page now. So there we see Loki, because he's going to Asgard, and case in point, at least hath thou found the way to vanquish the mighty Thor. Oh, he knows what he's doing. And look at Thor. Look at just Thor sitting. Look at, take heed, son of Odin. Stan Lee could write the pseudo Shakespeare. It's like, I can't even read it because it's just so, I'm starting to sweat because it's just so magnificent. This is art, comic art that can never be matched. And it's the pinnacle of literally, if you come back thousands of years, you're going to see these pages. I mean, I can't, and I'm pondering to see what Stan was thinking when he saw this. And if he's saying it's not good enough, and I can't understand why, because look at how Thor is actually sitting at the just the way he's sitting with his arm up there. John Buscema was so good at anatomy, but it was still so super heroic. So next page now. So here is Loki throwing the influence of like stuff that's going on. Basically, he's in a different form, but basically playing with emotions. And just the way he makes Thor, that cape, I fell in love with the cape. They don't do that anymore. And I thought when they first did the Chris Hemsworth Thor, they tried to mimic that because he had the puffy shoulders. Just look at that cape, all that. So anyways, what's going on here is Loki's kind of stimulating people, getting people angry because there's going to be somebody coming. And what he's doing, what he's going to do is he's starting to play with the motions, and he's like, okay, that Silver Surfer guy is probably the guy I'm going to use to take on Thor. Let's see what he can do to try to get Thor. So next page. Oh my God. Look, it just shows you the Silver Surfer. He can't deal with the humans. He doesn't understand them. But when he's sitting there with the animals, like he finds peace there and solace, and like, because he can understand the animals. He doesn't understand the humans because they're fighting all the time and all this stuff. Look, Steve, what do you say for that? Just the top panel, like just that. It was so wonderful when I first saw that. It was so different. And you look at the.
I mean, obviously, the first thing you're thinking of is, it's such a serene moment.
Oh,
and this, even though the Silver Surfer has all this power, he's very comfortable and likes just to be, laid back and then contemplating things and to be with beings that aren't, spewing out anger and doing so. Again, he can't hang around the humans. He has to go to his animals.
Yeah, and this is where Stan started forming Silver Surfer, because he loved the Silver Surfer. He fell in love with them right off the bat. So this series was so magnificent, but oh my God. So anyways, next page now. Oh, over the water. So here's the Silver Surfer saying his soliloquies. I loved everything. Like, and here stand I hopelessly trapped in a world of madness where reason is shunned while violence prevails. That is so Stan Lee, those talk. But so good. So here he is walking, pondering, and then Silver Surfer, I have found you at last. Who calls? And then look, Loki. Look at Silver Surfer holding the board and turning around. Look at that pose.
That's a poster in itself. That's a beautiful poster. Just that panel.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I don't know what else to say. But it's just so basically Loki's telling him, is basically instigating this guy right now to see what he's made of. Right now, Loki is going to see if he's all this stuff that he just witnessed, stimulating Thor, all this other stuff. Is he on par to take on Thor? So next page now.
Can I just say I love what they did in panel 2 with the snake and the monkey, because the snake is Loki and the monkey is Silver Surfer. So it's like foreshadowing what he's going into. The snake is now in the woods.
Yes.
This I can talk about this every single page for hours. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna it's just incredible. Next page. Okay. Oh, I love the energy, like how it's just kind of fluttering everywhere. So basically, Loki is just going to test him. So then look at those. Look at the Silver Surfer burning, but look at that second to last panel, how he's humped over, and the Silver Surfer is just trying to say, like, well, why are you attacking me? Why are you hurting me? Like he's trying to figure out. He's like, you're not doing it with any reason. But Loki's trying to see if he's strong enough. But look at that. You can see exactly how Silver Surfer got to his board. Like the board picked him right off the ground. Look at how he's laying there, and it's just like it's smoothly. You can see how effortlessly it picked him off the ground. John Buscema, in just that bottom panel, it tells so much how this is why Roy loved how he did the Vision, because the Vision's cape always looked like it was floating. He could draw it in a way that it always looked like it was ethereal or something. Same thing with the movement. Look at the movement and look at Loki's back. It's just so unbelievable. I just remember these panels, but Loki's just trying to see if he has what it takes. So next page. Look at what a great perspective. Shooting him, you get him at the start. Silver Surfer just wants to get away. Loki shoots him, falls into the water, and Loki. Oh, look at that second to last panel. Loki's like, he's just a loser. This guy can't take anything. He's just like, I thought he was better than that. He goes, I've got to find somebody else. He goes, then all mankind shall pay the price, because he's so pissed. But then he's like, Once Silver Surfer heard that now he's going to go hurt people, like innocent people, he gets up off the water. Oh, here he comes. Silver Surfer takes a little bit because he's a hippie. Now we got to push that hippie around a little bit. He's such a pacifist. But let's see what happens. Next page now. Here we go. Silver Surfer's following him. Now, it's the energy. Like, look at the energy, how it destroys, but I love how it's not like a direct shot. It's just like it's fluttering all over the place. Like I just remember this so vividly as a kid, like how the energy is just kind of like, it's just kind of going in waves, and yet it's hitting its target. And then look at the Silver Surfer saving one guy here. And now look at Loki triumphant on the top of that that last panel. Like, look at just that perspective looking at him. But now look at the Silver Surfer. He's like, enough of this. He's like, you can't do it. And he's like, never in the eyes of Loki, thou art unworthy. He still thinks that this guy's a pansy. Next page now. Look at the energy. Oh, and here we go. They just go back and forth. But once again, you see how the energy doesn't shoot, it just flows out. I never saw that before. It was just so erratic. It was not static. It was just everywhere. And I love how it didn't like hit, but here you see Loki as he's shooting Loki. Look at Loki going into into the chimney, but he's saying like, wait a second, this guy's got some, he's got some good power here. You know, he's feeling it. He's feeling that power cosmic. Next page now. So the people looking up, all the people from the streets. Oh, I love this. Oof. Grabs the Silver Surfer off, big right hand. Look at that third panel, and look at he said, you are unhurt, and look at what the Silver Surfer says with such, like, so, and it goes, no single blow can harm one who rides the meteor swarm. Like, you're just like, one who has, what does it say? One who has basked in the glow of 1,000 suns. Like, and then he's like, ooh, he goes, so you claim that you have the power of the gods? Prove it to me. Here comes the hands. Next page now. Oh, I mean, come on. I don't know what to say. I don't. It's just so unbelievable. Look at the Kirby crackle, the energy flowing, like the perspective from the building, and then the perspective from Loki. But basically what Loki's saying, he's saying, Silver Surfer's like, I'm not going to give up. Now you're going to see me. And the purity of heart to protect the innocents, the purity of soul, the Silver Surfer. And now Loki's seeing him like, wow. He goes, I love that. Though I am mortal born, my power is that of the endless cosmos. You know how much plagiarism I did when I was a kid on those Hulk comics? I did. I stole so much of this, Stan Lee. It's just unbelievable. Such greatest. Oh my God. Next page now. And now, wow. Steve, can you just read what the Silver Surfer says when
I know not why we fight, but this I vow, till death itself shall still my limbs, the surfer shall not yield.
Now,
if any now, Loki hath the one he seeks.
He found him. He did it. So it was all a ploy for Loki to just do it. Now, listen to how they're speaking. Don't you hear Steve in this? Steve has been plagiarizing Stan Lee his whole life too. Who the hell are you kidding? Yeah, I know. This shows you how much this crap has been. We've been. I'm crying. This is so beautiful. So anyway, Loki sees that he's worthy. So what he's doing right now is Loki's gonna do with his lizard tongue is he's telling the Silver Surfer there's a bad guy that's on Asgard that's doing a lot of bad stuff. Basically, manipulation 101. Loki's greatest thing.
As we both know, that the Surfer is very powerful, but he's so gullible. God, he's so gullible.
Next page now. So, look at the picture of Thor with the hammer on the horse. I love this because I hate to say it, but every time you saw Kirby stuff, he was always more of a superhero. You know, he was always flying and all this. this grounded Thor a little bit. So when I saw this for the first time, I was like, wow, he rides horses. Like I just never saw that before when I was a kid. So it was something to learn. But basically Loki's showing him that this guy is a conqueror. He's a bad person. So this is a guy you have to stop, manipulating him once again. And the surfer is like, whoa. Next page. Oh, thinking and the manipulation 101. I can help you leave the earth. I can help you get out of this universe and you can roam free. And he's like, look, at all he wants to be is with Shalaba again. Like, he just wants, that's all he wants. And he's this super powerful being, and all he wants is to love Shalaba and raise a family. But yet he's in this weird predicament. And look, they go to the Rainbow Bridge. I'm going to tell you something, Steve. The first time I ever saw the Thor in the movies, and then I saw the Rainbow Bridge going to Asgard, I didn't think of Jack Kirby. I thought of this issue, and I thought of John Buscema with the Rainbow Bridge going to Asgard. That's what I thought about. I was thinking about this. And look at Loki riding on the back. Look at how he's like up straight. He's just like, I love what I'm doing. I'm manipulating this bastard. Oh, God. And it's just so awesome. And behold, the realm eternal. That was Stan Lee. Go.
And then, of course, just to interject here for a second,
Yes,
he's
sir.
free of the barrier. He's through the barrier for the first time since FF48.
Yep. Go ahead. Next page now. Okay. So he tells him, before we get here, I got to get out of here. He goes, so no one will suspect. And I love what the server says. Suspect what? Bling, and he's out of there. Do your mission. And then he meets Heimdall first. And Heimdall sees him and like, I am the Silver Surfer. I seek the mighty Thor. Thou art alone and weaponless. He just looks like a harmless guy. And Heimdall, the proud Asgardian that he is, lets him go. And he goes, I against a god. Look at, so you think, he knows, Silver Surfer knows he's going up against like this powerful guy, and he knows the power of Thor, but wait, so much coming. Next page now. Okay, look at Loki. Basically watching over what he's doing and his plans. He's saying that this guy could have the potential to do this. So anyways, we see the Silver Surfer. Look at him just hovering on his board, and I seek the son of Odin. And they let him go. Go ahead, next page now. Oh, at the feast. Now, you telling me when they had the feast at the end of Thor, do you remember that feast? This is what I thought about. Because I remember this so. Look at Thor, Steve. Look at Thor sitting at that chair. Look at how. This is who Steve thinks he is when he's lifting. And you're not. I don't care what you think. You're not Thor. You're not. You're not. It's so wonderful. Okay, they bring the Silver Surfer to Thor, and Thor looks at him and he's like, what I love about this is they both have an intuition. As you're going to see, next page now. Silver Surfer, naive and everything, walks right up to Thor and says, I'm here to stop you. And Thor is like, and then when he threatens Thor going into action, the Warriors 3. Look at Falstad wants to go into action. Yeah, Falstad wants to go into action, but he's like, let me finish what I'm eating first and all that stuff. He's like, you guys are making a mess here. So they walk up to look at how awesome the Silver Surfer looks in that last panel while they're coming up to him, and he's just staying there so triumphantly. Oh my God, it's just so wonderful. Next page now. And look, see, look at there's Steve. Look at him doing these squats. No, Steve, you're not that Thor. I don't care. You're not John Buscema Thor. You can try, but you're not. Look at Thor. Be silent all. Because Thor also has an intuition. He reads the Silver Surfer good. And like, look at how look at the cape. Oh my God. Like, just look at the cape. Like, it's the most majestic Thor. I think I'm sorry, Kirby fans, as Kirby is my favorite artist, but I never saw Thor drawn better than anything in this issue. He just looks, and just his arches. I don't think even John Buscema even drew Thor this great ever again. I don't know what it is, but it is so. Look at Thor sitting down, and they're both looking at each other. You know, they're both looking at each other, and like, wait a second. Silver Surfer saying like he doesn't read him as a bad guy either. And then Thor's like, you know, I think he's misguided. They're having a good read. So now, obviously, all hail the champions of the realm. They're all going to try to impress Thor with their with some games. So next page now. So here it is. Look at Thor. You know, they all want to impress Thor. They're all going to wrestle and all this stuff. But what the Silver Surfer is noticing is like, you know, he doesn't really seem that bad. And Loki, of course, is noticing this. He's noticing that, wait a second, you know, he's cluing in a little bit that you know, this might not be going to plan because anyway, look at the third panel. Look at Thor with that little smile in that ball. He's so cute. He's so cute. Okay, next page now. Baldar sees him, and they're all talking about Thor. So see, this is the thing is what the Silver Surfer's figuring out is how come they're fighting for Thor and they want his honor, they want his, you know, they're all talking like these guys are all following Thor. So obviously Loki's got to do something. He manipulates one of the guys and he throws the sword in the name of Thor because it's really Loki that instigated that. Next page now. Silver Surfer's like, what did you just do that? And now Thor's going, like, you know, trying to figure out what happened. Oh my God. Look at the third panel. Have you ever seen the Silver Surfer look that good? I don't know what it is. It's just so awesome. But now the Silver Surfer is going, wait a second, you had him do that? He's like, you had him throw that at me? And Thor said it wasn't me and all this stuff. And I like not what I saw. So he calls his board and fizz up. Next page now. The battle begins. Okay. Look at how the energy comes out of his hands once again. I just love it. He's causing havoc, and Thor's going, he's just like, what? Thor still thinks that he knows that there's something wrong here, that this guy is not what he seems. He doesn't seem like a bad guy. So Thor is still playing with kid gloves right now. And then Loki behind the scenes is influencing it. Next page now. This 2 panels up here is 2 of the greatest panels in comic history. Thor is trying to calm shit down. Steve, please read those top 2 just what Thor says. Please read that to me in your greatest Thor voice. And this is Thor. This is Steve trying to bench 500 pounds right now. Go ahead. This is what he's thinking. He ain't thinking of the weight.
If reason then shall not prevail, no stranger is the thunder god to the life or the use of shattering force. Thou hast thy board, while I has Mjolnir the enchanted hammer.
Boom! How awesome is that? Look, that right there, Niall. Seriously, if I die and you put that in the grave, you can rip that page. Just you can make a photocopy of those 2 panels and put it in my grave. I'm happy for life. He's like, get the hell out. That's when Thor got a little pissed. And I love how look at the Mjolnir coming back, and he's just like, now I must learn what has prompted yon glistening foe. Oh, so good. So surrender, Thunder God. So now here comes back. See, but Thor is still not sure of all this. So next page now. Oh, I love those 2 panels. Here, look at what is so awesome about this is that right here, Silver Surfer's thinking, my God, his hammer is sucking in his cosmic power. Like he's shooting all this stuff, but his hammer can nullify the power cosmic. This is why Thor has always been Silver Surfer's toughest adversary. I don't know if you guys know this, but in their comics history, the Silver Surfer has never beaten Thor, and Thor has beaten him 3 times because not just his skill, but his hammer is like a great equalizer to the power cosmic. So anyways, he's sucking in as he's shooting, he's just sucking it into his hammer. But then again, Loki's still manipulating things behind the scene. Here's you see another Asgardian trying to get into it. look at what he makes. Silver Surfer makes short work of that poor bastard. He's just like, it ain't happening. Next page now. Look at Thor, but he sees Thor caring for these guys. Look at Thor, like he's looking at, and then Silver Surfer is noticing that, like he's caring for these guys. I thought he was supposed to be some crazy manipulator and all this stuff, like, and he's just noticing that. Anyways, okay, Loki's seeing this all going on. Next page now. Okay, look, okay, we just got to throw in, have you ever seen Odin as majestic? I mean, like, that is Odin. And what does he think? Odin loved when his son fought. He had to keep it in check, but he loved when Thor was in battle. He did it with the Hulk and all that stuff. Look what he says. I say thee, let the battle rage. I think Odin got off on Thor fighting and all these fights because he couldn't really do it anymore because he was older and he had to be a king of everything. And I think Odin always loved when shit was going down. And I think he loved to watch it all happen. That's my opinion. But look at, so saith Odin. Okay, next page now. Okay. That silhouette of Thor is the greatest silhouette I have ever seen of Thor. Look at him. Look at how awesome he is. You know how guys at the gym, Steve, always walking with their arms big and they think they're tough? Whether they know it or not, they're trying to be Thor. Look at him, like it's like they're not working with all their steroids, and I don't give a shit. They're not John Buscema Thor. Look at that silhouette. And look at Surfer coming in. Oh my God. So anyways, they're talking trash to each other. Thor throws his hammer. He easily dodges it because he can dodge meteors at the blink of an eye. Oh, so look at that silhouette. That top panel, that is another one of the greatest panels ever. Oh my God. Next page now. Oh, okay, here we go. Now, Steve, the second and the third panel, you got to read to me. So once again, another of the two greatest friggin' panels. Here's you see Silver Surfer having to hold Mjolnir away from Thor, but go.
Keep me from Mjolnir, I say thee nay. And more, I say thee never.
You know how many times I said that in the shower? I still say it in the shower.
We don't need to know what the hell is going on in that shower.
No. Wait, I'm going to tell you another one. I was with the love of my life, this girl. Her name was Keena. Years and years ago, we got into a fight and we're arguing with each other. And it was one of those all-night arguing. She just wouldn't let it go. And then she said, well, what are you going to say about that? And I said, I say thee nay. And more, I say thee never. And she looks at me like, what the hell did this idiot just say? I swear to God. Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Okay, so look at the power cosmic shield cannot hold Thor from Mjolnir. And look what the Silver Surfer says again. Now, something I forgot to mention. Loki is also enhancing Silver Surfer's power. He put his power into him because, as you read in that panel, never before have I felt so strangely powerful, so strangely invincible. Even he's recognizing something because Loki knew, I don't know if he can take Thor, and I don't one-on-one, I got to give him an edge. So anyways, then he throws these blows, this boom, he shows a whole bunch of power cosmic at him, and he actually hurts Thor here. But next page now. And I love it. Thor's fighting. He's fighting back, but he's like, he keeps shooting me with this stuff. And once again, Thor falls. Now look at Loki and the breath. He like in that third panel, like, I mean, he's laughing. He's like, oh my God, I did it. Now, wait a second. There's something else that's in my head here that I never forgot. This is why I loved John Buscema's cape of Thor. It wasn't just a single cape. It was two drapes. I don't know if, look at Thor laying there. You see how it's two different capes on each, so it would be a single cape on each shoulder. I love that panel. That panel has been in my head like, and Steve, you need to read that last picture, that last panel of And here you're going to realize how powerful Thor is when compared to the Silver Surfer. Steve, can you read that last panel?
The Surfer's dialogue?
Yes, please.
I have seen his mallet's magic. It is truly mightier than my cosmic force. Then why should it stay out of reach unless...
See, it's been pinned down by this by the power by his power cosmic. And look what Thor says, no power cosmic may entrap mighty Mjolnir. And it's not coming to Thor. And he's saying, he said it by Stan Lee, that hammer is more powerful than the power cosmic. He goes, it shouldn't be able to hold that hammer. It should be going to him. And that's when he says, wait a second, unless, next page now. Look, oh my God. Look at that Silver Surfer, like that first panel. He knows. Long too have I have the power of a god. But what if he added to my strength? He knew how powerful he was, but it shouldn't have been more powerful than Mjolnir. And he's realizing there's something else powering me up. There's something else going on here. And then you see Thor on the ground. Loki. And then he's like, oh my God. Then Boldar comes there and they're going to protect Thor. And right here, the Silver Surfer sees how beloved Thor, and he's starting to realize it has been a sham. He's been powered up in strength. He's been manipulated, and he sees how they love Thor. Next page now. And here is Thor. Look. Oh my God. That third picture, though, that third picture on the top, the third panel, that was also a sticker. Look at how Silver Surfer's, it's so graceful how he's shooting the power cosmic, almost like a surfer, wonderful. But look at this. Look at the second to last panel. Thor ducked. Look, he's still manipulated into doing it again. And you see how Thor jumps in front of the power cosmic to protect Lady Sif. But look at how strong Thor is. How many times have you ever saw the power cosmic shield ever be like cracked? I don't know what, but Thor is pissed off. I say thee this, blazing anger doth fill my heart. But with one blow I shatter your cosmic field. For Mjolnir must be. With one hit, Thor is now pissed. He's not holding back. I don't know. People don't realize how huge of a strength feat that is. That I don't even know if the Hulk ever did that. It's just like he's fighting for love now. But in here, Steve, read what the Silver Surfer says in these lines. What is he thinking? Here you're going to hear who's more powerful, Thor or the Silver Surfer? Steve?
He possesses more strength than I could know, but did not choose to use it against me. He must have suspected from the beginning that I was merely duped. Such a one must never be my enemy.
That whole time, even when Silver Surfer was powered up, Thor was holding back because he knew Thor had that intuition. He knew something was wrong. Thor ain't to be played with, man. This showed so much how powerful the Thor really was. Next page now. And when he did this, he takes off and Loki's pissed. What a bastard, what a punk, what a pussy. Get him out of here. And boom, he banishes him. And then what you say? He hath vanished like a fading spark, and I sense the game hath ended. Still his valor hath illumined the realm. I can't even read. I can't even see it. Steve, please.
Which panel? The
Panel
last
three. Panel three.
The last two panels, please.
He hath vanished like a fading spark, and I sensed the game hath ended. Still his valor hath illumined the realm with a light that shall glow for ages. Once more I am earthbound, trapped once again behind the barrier of Galactus. But never will thy heart surrender, never will my struggle cease. Someday, somehow, this time will come when the Silver Surfer shall be free.
Okay, I don't need to say any more. Now you can take it off. Okay, Steve. First, wait. Go ahead, Steve. I don't know what to say. I don't have anything more to say. I have nothing more to give. I've given you all. I've given you my all. I've given you my all. Go ahead.
Well, I think when it comes to the read-through, I think people will be able to understand, of course, your love for the issue. But what I want to talk about is the issue in context of the entire world of comics going up today. I feel that this issue is timeless in its quality, in its art, in its dialogue, and in its story. If this story had been lost and had never been printed, and they printed this story today, people would think that it had been published today. It ranks up there. There's no one working in the industry now that can get anywhere near as close, either writer or artist, to what this can produce. I like to use the analogy of there's people out there that think there's lost civilizations and lost technology, stuff that we knew before in the past. Okay. Ancient technology that we've forgotten about, or ancient skills or ancient abilities that we've lost. I happen to think when you take this issue in context and you study its panels, its beauty, its art, its penciling and inking and coloring, and of course, John, I agree with you 100%. The use of silhouettes and blacks in the panels, it cannot be matched today. Not even with the finest coloring processes that we have, the finest people doing whatever they want. They cannot match this. I put this issue up against anything being published today and for 1,000 years more. There is nothing that can get close to this. This is fine art. This is the Statue David. It cannot be approached. Now, you said something earlier on, and you said you don't think Thor was drawn that good again by John. Very good point. After Stan had his little tirade and sent John back and said, you know, you need to go and learn how to draw properly, John never drew like this again. He never drew in this type of style. He adopted more of the Kirby-ish type look and more of a basic approach. And he never pushed himself like this again. That's one of the crimes of what Stan did when he berated John in his office. And by the way, according to the law, and I think maybe the story that John told Roy Thomas would, you know, can reveal more. But John came out of Stan's office, a broken man. He came out with his head down low. Stan had destroyed him in a way. And I've always pondered this for many, many years. Was Stan having a bad day? Did he get a call from Martin Goodman in the morning and saying how useless you are, Stan? La, la, la. Did something go wrong at the house? For him to be triggered in such a nasty fashion and berate John Buscema when John Buscema had tried to produce something that he thought was magnificent. And anyone who met John afterwards, okay, and I met John, and he would always say, oh, I just drew. I did, you know, to me it's nothing. But on this issue, he tried his hardest to try and break new ground. That phone call that Stan gave to John many, many, many years later, it did not make up for the 15 years of anger building inside John, you know, and it's an indictment of even a great man can have an off day and in his worst moment, without realizing it, destroy another human's will. It's definitely sad, and I know a lot of people out there are probably thinking, you know, that I might be going a little bit over the top, but this is an issue, and this is a subject that I've thought about for over 20 years, especially after I first read the interview about how this happened. Because you always get the question as, you know, John Buscema's art hits this peak and then is never the same again. Why? I've just explained why. After this, John was like, well, I'm not going to push myself. I'm just going to draw. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to do what I can, you know, but I'm never again going to put myself in a position where someone can berate me like that. So this issue also showcases something that has been lost in regards to Loki. In the movies, Loki is a wimp. Loki can't do anything. He can only use Thanos' staff of power. It's like he has no power to himself. In this issue, he goes hand to hand, holding the full power of the Silver Surfer's hands, as all that cosmic power bequeathed by Galactus himself is going through his body. That's how powerful Loki is. That first page that we both love so much, where he's sitting on that seat, lordly, okay, just yoked, it's massive, okay. Anyone else, he'll snap your neck, okay. If he does get in trouble, okay, he uses his magic skills to get away, and fade off into the distance, okay. That has been totally lost on the new generation of creators. And over the last 15 years, they turned Loki into a small boy, okay. Yeah. Then it turned him into a woman, okay. And then they returned him back to being, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not Loki anymore. It's just some sort of weak manifestation of woke idiocy. And I don't know, I just would love to strap all those people down there and have this book with the pages just opening in front of their eyes so they can see just how powerful Loki was. So, for those of you who have never read this issue and you've watched the films and you're thinking, wow, I didn't realize Loki was that powerful. Yes, he was. Okay. And that's how Stan ordained he would be. Okay. Yes. And I don't think I can say anymore.
Yeah. He was badass. And remember, that's written by Stan Lee. That's the way he's supposed to be. Go ahead now. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the issue is drawn beautifully. First off, because as an artist, I look at what John did and it's phenomenal. And one thing that I loved about this issue is, if you think comic strips, right? Everything's very simple, peanuts, this and that, but you always had Prince Valiant, which was always very detailed. And it always blew my mind that this strip was, syndicated weekly, if not daily at one point, of just such detailed work. And when you look at those panels, right, especially more of the splash style panels, they're very Prince Valiant in detail, but with that power cosmic. And it's absolutely breathtaking. And it annoys me to heaven that Stan would berate that work, because Jack Kirby was great. And Jack Kirby's style was awesome, but Jack Kirby created that style for a reason. And it was really for production. But it's what was popular then. And you see that influence in John's work, but he even brought it up to a level. So when you're looking at the detail of the panels, like I said, you almost get that Prince Valiant vibe brought to the cosmic world of Thor and Silver Surfer and Galactus and everything. And I mean, with Thor, right? With Thor and with that mythology, bringing that art to that level, which John did, was brilliant. And it should have carried on. So as far as the art goes, I think John made an amazing power cosmic move with the design of this book. And it's a shame that he got berated like that and then dumbed it down to whatever Stan wanted. I don't want to say dumb it down, but I will in skill, right, because he brought the level down and didn't bring it back up. And then as far as the story, I love that Loki was powerful because that's how he was meant to be. And Steve, you nailed it right on the head there. You dove into the weeds, my friend. That, Loki's a powerful guy. Now he's a manipulating little wimp, like the little rich kid brother, right? That's
a guy to be feared. A guy to be feared.
Yeah. And a being that could control someone like Silver Surfer is a very powerful being. And the fact that his power could almost match Thor's in a way, but not to the same level, but enough to, when combined with a being like Silver Surfer, I mean, that was a formidable match there, potentially. So it's a shame what they've done. It's a great power cosmic book. Anyone that's, into this stuff, I mean, go back and see what these characters were really about. And this right here is just a classic. I mean, who doesn't know that cover? Who doesn't know this story? Many people probably don't know, though, about the John Buscema part about it. But when you do, you really start to appreciate the work more.
Now, we just want to say, like, as John Buscema, I agree with Steve, dumbed down his stuff a little bit. it's still miles ahead of just about everybody else that has ever
Yes,
drawn comics.
indeed.
So understand that.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
the other thing is, Steve, Loki was a guy that could stand toe to toe with Thanos in that, and maybe possibly work together. Like he wasn't below him, and that's Stan writing the Asgardians like a powerhouse. You can see that, and
Yes.
Thor just crushing things and his power too. And Odin, look at his Odin. How powerful was Odin if you got those two guys? If those two guys were that powerful, I'm just saying, like, and Odin loving the fight. But yeah, you that comic, it's seriously maybe top five if I had to think of like single issues. I don't. If you had to show person like on like who like aliens who came to this world a comic book, like what would be a good comic to show somebody? I'm just seriously like, they asked you like what are comic books? This. I mean, like, look at this. That could be the issue that you show them. I mean, it's just so incredible. And it's so ingrained in my head because I saw it as a little kid where I'm impressed by this stuff and how it just singed into my brain everything. And it is just, I think, the pinnacle. I loved how Thor was. And once again, you were right, Niall, about Prince Valiant, because you have to remember Buscema loved that. And when he started doing Conan and Roy started kind of writing for him, he even told Roy, this is what I always wanted to do. That's exactly what he said to Roy doing Conan. This is what I want. Why do you think he stayed on it forever? And like, that he loved that Conan. And the other thing is you should look at those new strips too of those Conans that John Buscema was drawing with Roy too. Those are gems, gems, gems. You should check those out. You never saw quality like that on a newspaper. The Romita art and like you are unbelievable. But in my estimation, this issue right here is truly one of Marvel's greatest superhero battles, but also a testament to just a pure genius. Though Stan came out later and he gave him his, said sorry and all that stuff, they still both produced, even under that duress, an issue because Stan's dialogue was so on point. Once again, when I think of Thor's speak, I think of that issue. I go back to that issue. And every time I hear Steve talk, and it's like, yeah, he's trying to be Thor in that issue. I hear you. So in closing, Steve.
The aliens are coming. You talked about ancient tech, and now they're coming for you, Steve.
So Steve, in closing, what do you think? What do you say?
It's funny there, Niall. You hit the nail on the head there with the Prince Valiant comparison, because John was a huge fan of Hal Forster. I mean, massive, beyond that you could possibly believe. But again, if this was going to be taught, if you were going to teach in the finest school, if you were in Harvard, and they said, well, we've got a cartoon class, we've got an artistic class, this is what you would bring out, because this would showcase to people the peak, the height to which, if you are super talented, you may reach this level. That's the level that we have been. Of course, it's 1968. It's unbelievable. Not 1978 or 88 or 2008. This is 1968. And the glory thing is that because of the power of modern reprinting and the coloring process and the paper quality, we get to see, the magnificence of this work. It holds up. And I think there was something that John said earlier on. In 1,000 years, when they look back and they say, wow, what was the high point of, comics? This issue is going to be there. People can talk about Watchmen or Dark Knight. People can talk about that stuff all day long. But there's a certain segment amongst the population, like me and John, who will always hold issues like that above everything else. And when someone says, oh, yeah, I was a Silver Age fan, but I like the way modern stuff's done now, I'm always like, oh, really? Really? So have you seen this issue before? No, here it is. Read it. And then you can speak to me. Because until you've read that issue and consumed it, you don't have the right to speak to me about quality. So again, thank you for the issue, John. It was definitely a surprise. You obviously, know that yeah, I was going to like it just as much as you. But yeah,
No.
definitely a very enjoyable night.
Yeah. And
Loved
Niall,
it.
any last words on it?
Yeah, man, just loved it. Another great book that you brought to the table. Something that, all the younger readers out there, if you don't know about it, or any of the older readers, pick it back up. You can find it digitally, or you can pick it up in, different forms of omnibuses and things. Great
It
stuff.
literally stops time for me. I can't just walk by that issue and not take a little gander at it. Like, it literally stops time. That's how
Mhm.
powerful it is. And one more thing that people don't realize. A lot of those people in the 90s and in the later 80s, John was kind of getting older and he was losing a step and all that stuff, and he was never respected. I was collecting comics during that time too. And I remember kids like, oh yeah, when he came back to do the Avengers. I don't know if you remember that. Tom Palmer was doing
Oh gosh.
the yeah, great. But they would always say like, it's just, look, I don't like this guy, so because you had the new generation of guys from the Image guys coming in there, and I was like, you're crazy for that stuff. Look at this. This is something that, like, you don't understand, because that's on the decline of his life. And I just remember how just unrespected John Buscema was. Now he's beloved again because he's in the Mythic. But we were there. People did not like John Buscema. Was kind of a throwaway guy at that.
Although he did get his last hurrah, actually, where he was able to showcase his skills, was when he did the Wolverine series with Chris Claremont. And he did Wolverine in those bar fight scenes, in Madripoor. I mean, he gained a whole new audience of fans.
Right.
So, but there was a period there when in the mid 1980s, when he was doing that great work, and everyone's like, well, I like my George Perez, and I love my Frank Miller, and I love my John Byrne, but John, la la la. I remember it very well. And I remember, I was new then to reading, but even I was like, I don't know what you guys are seeing here, but you're not seeing this.
Right. And the funny thing is, you can talk to those guys at Image, and you can ask them about John Buscema, and they'll give him the respect that they'll tell you. There's no way one of the titans.
Yes, Mark Silvestri will talk to you for hours about John Buscema.
Right. It's just a lot of the fans, though, because, like I said, I remember that, and it was like, no way. You look at Silver Surfer #4, and I would be pressed if there was almost anything drawn as good as that anywhere. It's just, how can those? It's like a great song. Like, it's literally one of the greatest pieces of work of the 21st century.
Can you imagine? There's probably something that you haven't thought about. Can you imagine over at the DC offices when someone brought that issue in to show the editors? And they were like, and they're thinking, oh my God, they've gone to a level we can't. The only person they had that could get there close art-wise was Neil Adams.
Neil Adams, yeah.
But story-wise, creator-wise, they were shivering in their boots when they saw what the Marvel were producing. They didn't have anything close to anywhere near that level.
Why do you think Neil came over to Marvel too when he wanted to do something? Remember that? And then exactly that time.
And then we get the magnificence of both John Buscema and Neil Adams working on the Kree Skrull War, which we will get into at another time.
You said that perfect, because that's exactly. He wanted to come over. He talked to Roy, and he said he wanted to do something. So Roy was the guy.
We'll get into that little story at some point in the future. Believe you me.
Okay, so once again, at the end of these shows, when I always say Mighty Mystic Milner, I'm once again referencing people, if you didn't know, Silver Surfer #4, because that's where it's just ingrained in me. One of the greatest. Look at what Nell used in the back cover. Look at that Thor. Look at the wings. Oh, John Buscema, rest in peace. I love you. Love you forever.
Yes.
So good. Get us out of here, Steve.
You know what? Boom!
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the Pop XP and over on Instagram at the Pop XP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.